The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Most operators spent their time watching endless streams of data, looking for anything unusual among the stars. But tonight was different. James Walker sat up straight in his chair, adjusting his glasses as he stared at the readings on his screen. The energy patterns near Jupiter made no sense. At first, he thought his equipment was malfunctioning. "Hey, Bill," he called out to his supervisor. "You might want to take a look at this." Bill Rogers walked over, coffee cup in hand. His eyes widened as he looked at the screen. The energy signatures were like nothing they'd ever seen before. Massive spikes of power followed by strange, pulsing patterns. Within an hour, every major space agency on Earth was alerted. The International Space Command, formed just 5 years ago to coordinate humanity's space efforts, called an emergency meeting. Through powerful telescopes, they could see them. 15 massive ships, each one bigger than the largest spacecraft humans had ever built. They were dark against the backdrop of space, their shapes strange and angular. More worrying was how they moved, or rather, didn't move. They seemed to be drifting, like boats without power in an ocean current. Admiral Robert Thompson of the ISC made the call. "Send out the first contact signal," he ordered. They transmitted the simple mathematical sequence that scientists had prepared years ago for this very moment. The first few prime numbers, followed by basic geometric shapes translated into radio waves. The wait felt endless. Everyone in the command center held their breath. Then, after 23 minutes, they got a response. The alien message came in perfect English, translated through what they later learned was an advanced universal translator. "This is Fleet Commander White Star of the Wanderer ships. We need help." The signal was weak, breaking up at times, but the message was clear. The aliens weren't here to invade or make grand diplomatic gestures. They were stranded. Over the next few hours, they learned more. The Wanderer fleet had been running from something they called the Great Storm, a massive wave of destructive energy moving through their home system. During their escape, their main drive systems had failed. Now they were trapped, their ships damaged, drifting in the solar wind. "How many souls aboard?" Admiral Thompson asked. 30,000, came the reply, including 5,000 children. The Admiral didn't hesitate. "Fleet Commander, this is Admiral Thompson of Earth's International Space Command. We stand ready to assist. Please share your immediate needs, and we will begin organizing aid." There was a pause before the alien response came. "You would help us, without knowing us." "That's what we do," Thompson replied simply. "Humanity has an old tradition of helping those in need, especially at sea, or in this case, in space." The relief in the alien commander's voice was clear even through the translator. "We thank you, but I must warn you. Our technology is far more advanced than what we've observed of your civilization. The repairs needed might be beyond your capabilities." Admiral Thompson allowed himself a small smile. "Commander, if there's one thing you should know about humans, it's that we love a good challenge. Give us a problem to solve, and we'll find a way. That's what we do best." He turned to his staff. "Contact every space agency, every major engineering firm. We're going to need the best minds on Earth for this one." His eyes sparkled with determination. "Let's show our new friends what humanity can do." As the command center burst into activity, Thompson looked at the main screen showing the stranded alien fleet. This would be humanity's first real test on the galactic stage. They had a chance not just to save lives, but to prove that despite their relatively young civilization, humans could stand tall among the stars. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a challenge that would push human ingenuity to its limits and change Earth's place in the galaxy forever. 3 days after first contact, the human engineering team floated through the main corridor of the largest alien ship. Tom Miller, the lead engineer from Earth's International Space Command, tried to hide his amazement. The ship's interior was both beautiful and strange. with smooth curves that seemed to flow like frozen water. Behind his space helmet, Tom smiled as he watched his team's reactions. Pete, the youngest engineer, kept touching the walls as if he couldn't believe they were real. Mary, their power systems expert, was already taking readings with her handheld devices. Their alien guide, who called himself Blue Light, led them toward the engine room. Unlike humans in their bulky spacesuits, Blue Light moved gracefully in what looked like a thin, shimmering bodysuit. The Wanderers were humanoid, but taller and thinner, with silvery skin that seemed to reflect light like metal. "Your ship design is fascinating," Tom said through the translator. "I've never seen metals shaped quite like this." Blue Light's expression changed, and what they had learned was a smile. "The walls are grown, not built," he explained. "We seed the basic structure, and it grows according to our needs." The human engineers exchanged shocked looks. This was far beyond Earth's technology. For a moment, Tom felt a wave of doubt. How could they possibly help repair something so advanced? The engine room changed his mind. It was massive, easily the size of a football field, but what caught Tom's attention were the basic principles he could recognize. At its heart, the alien drive system used magnetic fields to contain and direct energy, not so different from Earth's fusion reactors. "Your main power core," Mary said, pointing to a dark crystal structure in the center. "It's completely dead." Blue Light nodded. "The Great Storm created a feedback pulse. All our ships were damaged at once. We can't restart the cores without." He paused, searching for the right words. "Think of it as a jumpstart, but on a massive scale." Tom walked around the core, his mind already working on the problem. "These conduits here," he pointed to what looked like twisted ribbons of metal. "They channel the magnetic field." The alien's eyes widened slightly. "Yes. How did you know?" "We use something similar in our fusion plants, just not as elegant." Tom pulled out his tablet and started making notes. "The principles are the same, even if the technology is different." For the next few hours, the human team examined every part of the engine system. They found that while the alien technology was far more advanced, it followed universal laws of physics that they understood well. The problem wasn't that the engines were broken. They just needed an enormous amount of power to restart. Back in the ship's meeting room, Tom shared his findings with Admiral Thompson and the alien commander through a video link. "The good news is we can help," Tom said. "The bad news is it's going to take resources we don't have yet." "Explain," Admiral Thompson said. Tom pulled up a diagram on his tablet. "Their drive system is like a massive fusion reactor. Once it's running, it's self-sustaining. But starting it requires more power than Earth's entire energy grid produces in a month." Blue Light spoke up. "This is why we feared you couldn't help. The energy requirements are beyond most young civilizations' capabilities." Tom grinned. Who said anything about using traditional power sources? He adjusted his diagram. "Jupiter produces enormous magnetic fields. If we can position the ships correctly and build some adapters, we might be able to use the planet's own energy to kickstart your systems." The room fell silent. The aliens stared at Tom with their large, silvery eyes. "Use a planet's magnetic field." Blue Light sounded stunned. "That's not. We never considered." Admiral Thompson laughed. "That's exactly why we brought our best engineers. Sometimes the best solutions come from looking at old problems with new eyes." As the meeting continued, Tom noticed something had changed. The aliens were no longer looking at them with polite patience. Now there was genuine respect in their eyes. Maybe Earth technology wasn't as advanced as theirs, but human creativity and problem-solving might just save their fleet. The real work was about to begin. 1 week after the assessment, alarms rang through the alien fleet. Tom Miller was in the middle of a meeting at Earth's Space Command when the emergency call came in. "Life support systems are failing faster than expected." Blue Light's voice was tense over the communication link. "We have maybe 2 weeks, not 2 months as we thought." The news hit the command center like a physical blow. Admiral Thompson turned to Tom. "How long until your team can implement the Jupiter solution?" Tom ran his hand through his hair, his face grim. 3 weeks at best. We're still designing the power collectors." The Admiral's face hardened. "That's not good enough. We have 30,000 lives at stake." Mary, who had been quietly working at her station, spoke up. "Sir, I might have an idea. It's risky, but it could work." All eyes turned to her as she pulled up a diagram on the main screen. "We can't speed up the building of the collectors, but we can buy more time. The aliens' life support is failing because their backup power systems are running out. What if we hook up our own power supplies?" Blue light's image flickered on the screen. "Your power systems are not compatible with ours. The energy types are different." Mary smiled. "True, but Tom's team already figured out how your magnetic conduits work. We can build adapters. They won't be pretty, and they won't be permanent, but they might keep your people alive long enough to fix the main problem." "How many nuclear reactors would we need?" Admiral Thompson asked. "All of them," Mary replied quietly. "Every portable reactor Earth has. And even then, it'll be just enough to maintain basic life support." The room fell silent. They were talking about borrowing every emergency power station on Earth, leaving their own planet vulnerable. The political fallout would be massive. Admiral Thompson didn't hesitate. "I'll call the World Council. Tom, your team has 6 hours to draw up detailed plans. Make them simple enough that every engineering team on Earth can help build these adapters." The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Engineers from 20 countries worked together, designing and testing the power adapters. The alien ships needed a special type of energy conversion, and getting it wrong could make things worse. In the middle of this organized chaos, Tom noticed something interesting. The aliens, who had been politely distant before, were now working side by side with human engineers. Necessity had broken down the last barriers between their species. "I don't understand," Blue Light said as he helped Tom test a prototype adapter. "Your people are risking so much. If you divert all these resources to us, and something goes wrong on Earth." Tom connected another wire before answering. "That's just what humans do. Besides, this is pushing our technology forward by decades. We're learning as much as we're helping." A young alien engineer, who they called Swift, joined the conversation. "But our children, they're already showing signs of sickness from the failing environmental systems. Even with your power supply, the air quality won't be perfect." "They might still." "They won't," Tom said firmly. "We've got another team working on that too. Our medical scientists think they can adapt our air purification systems to work with your biology. It's not just about keeping the lights on. We're going to make sure everyone makes it through this." The next few days were a race against time. Ships from every space-capable nation on Earth traveled back and forth, carrying power equipment and supplies. Engineers worked in shifts around the clock, installing adapters and running power lines between ships. They hit their first success 3 days later. The lights in the first alien ship brightened as Earth's power began flowing through the adapted systems. The air processors hummed back to life. In the medical bay, sick alien children began to show signs of improvement. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it bought them the time they desperately needed. As Tom watched the power readings stabilize, he felt a mix of pride and determination. They had won the first battle, keeping the aliens alive. Now came the harder part, figuring out how to use Jupiter's magnetic field to restart their main drives. Looking at the tired but satisfied faces of both human and alien engineers around him, Tom knew one thing for certain: they would find a way. Together, the Earth's skies had never been busier. Rockets launched every few hours from every spaceport around the globe, carrying materials and workers to the stranded alien fleet. It had been 2 weeks since they'd hooked up Earth's power supplies to the Wanderer ships, and now they faced an even bigger challenge. In the makeshift workshop aboard the alien flagship, Tom Miller stared at the latest test results. The prototype magnetic collector they'd built to harness Jupiter's energy had failed. Again. That's the fifth test, Mary said, checking the burned-out device. The magnetic fields are just too strong. Our materials can't handle it. Tom was about to respond when blue light rushed into the workshop. We have another problem, the alien engineer said. The children's section in Ship 3. Their air filters are failing. The Earth power is working, but the system itself is breaking down. This was the nightmare they'd feared. The temporary solutions were starting to fall apart faster than they could fix them. Tom grabbed his tablet and called Admiral Thompson. We need to speed things up, Tom explained. The temporary fixes aren't holding, but we can't rush the Jupiter collector construction. One mistake, and we'll lose everything. The Admiral's face was grim on the screen. What do you need? Materials we don't have, Tom said. The collectors need to be stronger than anything we've ever built. That's when Pete, the young engineer who had been quietly working in the corner, spoke up. What about the old Russian titanium stockpile and the new carbon weave they developed in Japan? Everyone turned to look at him. Think about it, Pete continued, growing more excited. Russian titanium is the strongest we got. Layer it with the Japanese carbon weave. Add the new Australian heat-resistant coating. He quickly sketched on his tablet. Mary's eyes widened. That could actually work. But those are all classified materials. No country would share them. Admiral Thompson smiled. Leave that to me. Within hours, the Admiral had called an emergency meeting of the World Council. The situation was explained. And for once, politics took a back seat to survival. Country after country agreed to share their secret materials and technologies. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Russian cargo planes delivered their precious titanium. Japanese scientists flew in with their latest carbon fiber technology. Australian engineers brought their experimental heat shield materials. But it wasn't just the big countries helping. Small nations contributed too. Costa Rica sent their best biological air filter designs, which helped stabilize the failing systems in Ship 3. New Zealand provided unique magnetic shielding techniques developed for their research stations. In the alien medical bay, human doctors worked alongside alien healers to keep the sick children stable. They discovered that simple earth plants, like spider plants and peace lilies, could help clean the alien ship's air naturally. Soon, every ship had a makeshift garden, green plants floating in zero gravity. Your people continue to surprise us, Blue Light said to Tom as they watched teams of humans and aliens working together to build the new collectors. Each time we think we've reached a dead end, you find another way forward. Tom nodded, checking the latest design modifications. That's because we're used to working with limitations. When you can't go through a problem, you learn to go around it. The breakthrough came on day 18. The combined materials worked better than anyone had hoped. In the test chamber, the prototype collector withstood magnetic forces even stronger than Jupiter's field. It's ready, Mary announced, looking at the test results. We can start building the full-scale versions. But their success came with a new sense of urgency. Reports from the alien ships showed more systems were starting to fail. The Earth's power supplies were straining to keep up, and some cities had started experiencing brownouts from the massive energy drain. Tom looked at the tired faces around him, human and alien alike. They had overcome the material challenge, but now they faced an even greater test. Building and installing these collectors on 15 massive ships, all while systems failed around them. How long do we have? Admiral Thompson asked during the evening briefing. 10 days, Blue Light answered. After that, even with Earth's power, the life support systems will begin failing permanently. Tom stood up, looking at the assembly of engineers and workers from across Earth and beyond. Then we'll do it in 9, he said firmly. We've come too far to fail now. The race against time had entered its final, critical phase. 8 days had passed since they started building the magnetic collectors. The space around the alien fleet looked like a construction site, with human ships moving back and forth, carrying parts and workers. Inside the command ship's main workshop, Tom Miller hadn't slept in 30 hours. "First collector is ready for testing," Mary announced, her voice tired but excited. They had built a prototype at 1/4 scale, hoping to prove their design before building the full-sized versions. The test chamber was crowded. Human engineers stood shoulder to shoulder with alien technicians. Admiral Thompson watched from a video screen, along with scientists from 20 different countries. They all knew if this failed, there wouldn't be time for another attempt. "Starting magnetic field generator," Pete called out, his hands steady on the controls despite his exhaustion. The test chamber hummed as it created a magnetic field similar to Jupiter's. Blue light monitored the alien sensors, field strength at 20%, 40%, 60%. Tom held his breath. Their previous attempts had all failed around 70%. 80%. Blue light continued. The collector glowed slightly, its combined Earth materials handling the massive magnetic forces. 90%. 100%. The room erupted in cheers. The collector not only survived, but was actually converting the magnetic energy exactly as they had hoped. It was working better than anyone had expected. Then something unexpected happened. Tom Swift, the young alien engineer, called out excitedly, "Look at these readings. The collector isn't just gathering energy, it's amplifying it." Mary rushed to check the data. "She's right. The combination of materials we used, they're creating some kind of resonance effect. We're getting almost twice the power we calculated." Tom quickly realized what this meant. We won't need as many collectors. Instead of 3 per ship, we might only need 1 or 2. We can cut our construction time in half. Blue Light's silver skin seemed to shimmer with excitement. And with this much power, we could restart all ships almost simultaneously, rather than one at a time. Admiral Thompson's voice came through the speakers. "How soon can you scale up to full size?" Tom looked at his team, saw the determination in their tired faces. "Give us 36 hours. We'll need every factory on Earth working on parts, but we can do it." The next day and a half was a blur of activity. Factories around the world switched to round-the-clock production. Space agencies coordinated the biggest supply operation in human history. The alien ships became a hive of activity as teams prepared for the installation. They faced challenges, of course. The full-sized collectors were trickier to build than the prototype. 2 failed during construction. But humans and aliens worked together, solving each problem as it arose. When the Japanese carbon weave showed signs of weakness at full scale, Korean engineers suggested a modification. When the Australian coating wasn't bonding properly, Indian scientists provided a solution. Finally, after countless hours of work, the first full-sized collector was ready. It was beautiful in a strange way. A mix of alien and human technology, silver and gold metals woven together with dark carbon fiber, all coated in a material that seemed to drink in light. "It's not pretty," Tom said, standing next to Blue Light, as they looked at the finished collector. "But it'll do the job." Blue Light made the silvery laughing sound they'd all grown used to. "Actually, by our standards, it is quite beautiful. It shows the marks of its creation, the collaboration between our peoples. Our ships usually look too perfect. This shows character." As teams began installing the first collector, Tom noticed something had changed. The aliens no longer spoke about human technology and their technology. Now it was just our work, as if the distinction between their species had become less important than what they could achieve together. Mary joined them, holding her tablet. "First installation is complete. All readings are green. We can start on the second ship whenever you're ready." Tom looked around the workshop. Humans and aliens were sharing meals, comparing notes, working together as if they'd been doing it for years. Whatever happened next, he realized space would never be the same. Earth had proven itself not just capable, but innovative in ways that even an advanced civilization hadn't expected. "Let's get started on the next one," he said. "We've got 14 more ships to save." The real test was about to begin, but now they had something they hadn't had before: proof that their crazy idea could actually work. The day of the great restart had arrived. Jupiter loomed large in the viewing windows, its massive storm clouds swirling below as the combined fleet of human and alien ships moved into position. They would only get one chance at this. All ships report ready. Admiral Thompson's voice came through the command center speakers. The operation involved over 200 human vessels, positioned around the 15 alien ships like a protective swarm. Tom Miller stood at his station aboard the alien flagship, checking the collector's readings one final time. Mary and Pete were on different ships, overseeing their own collectors. Blue Light stood next to Tom, his silver skin reflecting the red glow of Jupiter. Distance to optimal position: 30,000 kilometers, the navigation officer announced. 20 minutes until we enter the prime magnetic field. Tom watched the screens as data flowed in. Each alien ship now carried 2 of their hybrid collectors, built from Earth's strongest materials and alien technology. They had tested everything possible, but using Jupiter's magnetic field to restart 15 massive ships at once, that was something they could only try for real. Life support on ships 7 and 12 is critical, Swift reported from her station. We have less than an hour of Earth power remaining on those systems. Admiral Thompson's voice was steady. We proceed as planned. All ships maintained formation. As they drew closer to the massive gas giant, its magnetic field began to strengthen. The collectors started to glow, first faintly, then with increasing brightness. Through the windows, they looked like stars scattered among the fleet. 15 minutes to position, the navigator called. Tom felt blue light touch his shoulder. Whatever happens, the alien engineer said, your people have already achieved the impossible. We will not forget this. Save the thanks for when we're done. Tom replied with a smile. We still have 30,000 people to save. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. Every screen showed the magnetic field growing stronger. The collectors were now blazing with captured energy, creating a spectacular light show against Jupiter's backdrop. 10 minutes. Tom's hands flew over his controls, making final adjustments. Engineers around the room, both human and alien, checked and rechecked their systems. 5 minutes. Collectors at 80% capacity. Mary's voice came through. Everything looking good on Ship 3. Ship 7 and 12 now on emergency reserves, Swift reported. Environmental systems failing. 2 minutes. The ship began to vibrate as Jupiter's magnetic field grew even stronger. Warning lights flashed across control panels, but everything was holding together. The Earth materials were proving their worth. 1 minute. Collectors at maximum capacity. Pete's excited voice rang out. They're working perfectly. Admiral Thompson gave the command they'd all been waiting for. Begin power transfer sequence. Tom took a deep breath and activated his console. Around the fleet, other engineers did the same. Energy from the collectors began flowing into the alien ship's dead power cores. The first few seconds were critical. If they calculated wrong, if the power surge was too strong or too weak, the cores could be permanently damaged. Tom watched the readings climb. Core temperature rising. Blue light reported. Energy patterns stabilizing. Suddenly, the lights throughout the ship flickered. For a heart-stopping moment, everything went dark. Then, with a deep hum that seemed to vibrate through their bones, the alien ship's main power core came to life. Main power online. Blue light shouted, his usual calm forgotten. Drive systems responding. Similar reports began coming in from other ships. One by one, the massive alien vessels lit up against the backdrop of space, their systems returning to life. Ship 7 restored. Ship 12 responding. All systems green on Ship 5. In less than 5 minutes, all 15 ships were back online. The emergency Earth power supplies disconnected automatically as the alien vessels returned to their own power. A cheer went up through the command center. Human engineers hugged their alien counterparts. On the communications screens, similar celebrations were visible on other ships. Admiral Thompson's voice cut through the celebration. Well done, everyone. But we're not finished yet. All ships maintain position until we confirm drive systems are fully stabilized. Tom looked at his readings with a growing smile. Everything was working exactly as they'd hoped. Better, even. The alien ship's power cores were running at full capacity, their drive systems ready for testing. They had done it, against all odds, using materials and methods never tried before. Humans had helped save an entire alien fleet. But as Tom watched Jupiter's swirling clouds through the window, he knew this was more than just a rescue. This was humanity's first step into a much larger universe, and they had taken that step not through war or competition, but through cooperation and innovation. 1 month after the successful rescue of the Wanderer fleet, Earth's orbit was busier than ever. The alien ships now floated in a stable formation around the planet, their newly restored systems humming with power. But they weren't preparing to leave. Not just yet. In the main conference room of the International Space Command, Tom Miller sat beside Blue Light, watching as human and alien leaders signed what they called the Jupiter Treaty. After what they had achieved together, neither species wanted to simply say goodbye. "This marks a new chapter in both our histories," the Wanderer Fleet Commander announced. "We came here as refugees, desperate for help. We leave as allies, enriched by humanity's friendship and ingenuity." Admiral Thompson stood at the podium, looking out over the mixed crowd of humans and aliens. "The technology we created together proves something important, that sometimes the best solutions come from combining different ways of thinking." He was right. The hybrid collectors they'd built had turned out to be more efficient than anything either civilization had created alone. Already, engineering teams were working on new applications for the technology. But the changes went far beyond just technology. In the medical bay of the alien flagship, human doctors and alien healers were sharing knowledge. The plants that had helped clean the ship's air had led to breakthroughs in environmental systems. Earth scientists were learning about advanced space travel, while the Wanderers studied humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. "Tom," Blue Light said quietly during the ceremony, "did you know that news of what happened here has spread to other civilizations? They're calling it the Jupiter Miracle." Tom smiled. "No miracle, just good engineering and teamwork." "That's not how others see it," Blue Light replied. "A young civilization, barely into space travel, helping save a fleet with technology far beyond their own. It's changing how the galaxy views Earth." As if to prove his point, the next speaker announced something that made the whole room buzz with excitement. The Wanderers were officially inviting Earth to join the Galactic Council, not as junior members, which was usual for new civilizations, but as full partners. "Your creativity, your willingness to help others, your ability to solve problems in new ways. These are rare and valuable traits," the fleet commander explained. "The galaxy needs more of what humanity has to offer." Later that day, Tom stood with his team on the observation deck, watching shuttles move between Earth and the alien ships. Mary and Pete were going over plans for a new joint research station. Other engineers were discussing projects that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Swift, who had become a good friend, joined them. "Many of us have decided to stay," she said, "to continue working with humans. We have so much to learn from each other." "And we're sending teams with your fleet when you resume your journey," Tom added. "Cultural exchange, they're calling it. Though I think they really just want to see what other engineering problems they can solve out there." The observation deck's window offered a perfect view as the sun set over Earth. The planet looked peaceful from up here, its nations united in a way they had never been before. The crisis had shown them that they could work together, that their differences were less important than what they could achieve together. "You know what the best part is," Pete said, looking at the activity around them. "We didn't just save 30,000 lives. We showed the galaxy something new. That sometimes the best way forward isn't to have the most advanced technology, but to think about problems differently." Mary nodded. "They're already using our term human engineering out there. Apparently it means finding unexpected solutions to impossible problems." Tom watched as another shuttle docked, carrying more scientists and engineers eager to work on joint projects. The future suddenly seemed full of possibilities. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and they had earned their place among the stars not through force or fear, but through friendship and innovation. So, Blue Light asked, his silver skin reflecting Earth's glow, what impossible problem should we solve next? Tom looked at his friend and smiled. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The Jupiter miracle, as everyone was calling it, wasn't just about saving a fleet. It was about showing that when different species worked together, nothing was truly impossible. The stars seemed brighter somehow, full of promise and potential. Humanity had taken its first real step into the galactic community, and they had done it in the most human way possible, by reaching out to help others in need.